The Galactic Council chamber was a vast, cold place, filled with the soft hum of energy fields and the murmurs of alien delegates. Each species had its own seat, its own aura, its own way of speaking. Some spoke in colors, some in sounds, beyond human hearing, and some in gestures that seemed to float in midair. At the center of it all, humanity's representatives stood, small and unassuming in comparison, yet carrying a presence that no one could ignore. The council leader, a tall being with translucent skin that shimmered like liquid crystal, spoke first. Its voice echoed through the chamber. After careful deliberation, the Council has decided that humanity is not to be allowed entry into the Interstellar Alliance. Your species' rapid expansion, unpredictable behavior, and disregard for the traditional rules of interstellar diplomacy make your inclusion too dangerous. A heavy silence followed. Humans exchanged tense glances. Ambassador Lila Santos, the lead human representative, felt her heart tighten, but she did not show it. She was trained for moments like this. Calmly, she replied, "We understand your decision, but know this. Humans do not need permission to survive. We will find our place in the stars, with or without your approval." A ripple of murmurs ran through the chamber. Some delegates whispered about rebellion, others about arrogance. But Lila held their gaze firmly. Humanity had been underestimated before, and they would not be underestimated again. Once the formalities were over, Lila and the rest of the delegation returned to Earth. The city of New Geneva, built high in the mountains where air was clean and technology thrived, welcomed them with a tense mixture of fear and pride. Holographic screens around the city displayed the council's announcement, and people from every nation and background watched in disbelief. Children asked their parents, "Why would they ban us? We are smart. We help others." The elders responded quietly, "They fear what they cannot control." In the halls of government and science, meetings erupted. Leaders, engineers, and scientists gathered to discuss the future. There were no shortages of ideas, but the question was the same. How would humanity respond? Would they bow and accept exile, or would they find a new path? Dr. Kamal Rao, a veteran scientist in space engineering, stood before a large audience in the central conference hall. His voice carried over the murmur of discussion. For centuries, humans have solved impossible problems. We have sent ships to other planets, built cities in deserts, and cured diseases that once seemed unstoppable. Are we going to let the Council decide our destiny? No. We will go where no one else dares to go. We will build our own path in the stars. Applause filled the hall, but it was not blind optimism. Everyone knew the challenges ahead were immense. To build independent colonies, humanity would need resources, ships, and technology far beyond what any single nation had ever achieved. But humans had one advantage no one else possessed: creativity paired with stubborn courage. Within months, Earth's brightest minds began work. Shipyards that had once built satellites and cargo freighters now transformed into factories producing interstellar vessels. Engineers designed modular starships that could adapt to different planetary environments, while scientists developed propulsion systems that pushed beyond the limits of the previous Council-approved technologies. Not all humans agreed with the push for expansion. Some worried about the cost, the risk, and the unknown dangers of uncharted space. "We cannot compete with the Council's fleet," one politician warned. "They have hundreds of years of experience controlling the stars. Humanity will be crushed." But Captain Elena Voss, a former Starship pilot turned strategist, responded calmly, "Experience counts for something, yes. But the Council's rules are designed to prevent risk, to maintain control. Humans thrive in risk. We adapt, we improvise, we overcome. They fear us not because we are weak, but because we are unpredictable." As months turned into years, the first human exploratory fleet was ready. Ships of various sizes, each capable of traveling through space independently or forming a collective fleet, gathered in Earth's orbit. Crews trained day and night, preparing for long voyages into systems untouched by the Galactic Council. Scientists worked tirelessly, sending probes ahead to map planets, study atmospheres, and identify resources. The day of departure arrived. Millions of humans gathered on observation platforms, cheering as the first fleet of human starships prepared to leave the solar system. Children waved, engineers monitored every system, and leaders gave speeches emphasizing courage, ingenuity, and unity. Captain Elena Voss stood on the bridge of the flagship Intrepid, gazing out at the stars. She knew that the path ahead would be dangerous. Unknown planets could harbor deadly environments. Rogue asteroids could destroy a ship in seconds, and alien life forms, some friendly, some hostile, might test humanity's resolve. But she also knew something else. Humans had always thrived when faced with the impossible. As the fleet jumped into faster-than-light travel, the Earth below shrank into a blue and green jewel. The Galactic Council would not interfere, for now, but humanity's fate was theirs to shape. Every crew member understood the unspoken truth. This was not just a voyage into space. It was the beginning of a statement to the entire galaxy. Humans did not wait for permission. They built their destiny. The first colony ship, Horizon, arrived at a rocky, barren planet they named Novaterra. Its atmosphere was thin and cold, but with careful engineering, humans set up protective domes, converted local minerals into building materials, and planted the first Earth-adapted crops. The settlers faced storms, equipment failures, and even moments of doubt. Yet each obstacle became a lesson, each failure a stepping stone. Meanwhile, the Intrepid and its accompanying fleet continued to explore. They discovered gas giants with valuable resources, asteroid belts rich in minerals, and quiet systems with planets suitable for habitation. Every discovery was documented and shared across the fledgling network of human colonies. Humans were learning not only to survive in space, but to thrive in it. Back on Earth, news of the successful colonization spread quickly. Other species began noticing humanity's progress. Some were curious, some skeptical, and some quietly impressed. Whispers ran through interstellar trade networks. The humans were banned, yet they continue to grow. Perhaps they are not to be ignored. Despite successes, tensions were never far from the surface. Alien traders attempted to undermine human operations. Pirates lurked in asteroid fields, and the harsh realities of space tested every human decision. Yet each challenge revealed a consistent truth. Humans were clever, adaptable, and persistent. Where others saw danger, humans saw opportunity. In one memorable incident, a small colony on Novaterra faced a violent storm that threatened to destroy their habitat domes. Engineers worked tirelessly, improvising structural reinforcements from mining equipment. Botanists modified crops to survive with less water, and medics treated settlers suffering from exposure. By the time the storm passed, not a single life had been lost, and the colony had become stronger, more resilient, and more united. Stories like these spread quickly across the fledgling dominion. Tales of human courage, ingenuity, and teamwork became legends in their own right. Young explorers on other ships were inspired, and older generations felt pride. Even the Galactic Council, observing from afar, could not deny that humanity was no ordinary species. As the first part of humanity's journey into the stars concluded, the message was clear. Humans had been exiled, banned, and underestimated, but they were undeterred. With each new colony, each new discovery, and each challenge overcome, humanity was building more than settlements. They were building a legacy, a dominion founded not on fear, not on permission, but on determination, creativity, and the unbreakable human spirit. And thus, the story of humanity's rise beyond the stars began, not as subjects of the Council, but as masters of their own destiny. The galaxy would soon learn what humans had always known. Being underestimated could be a gift, and being banned could be the spark that ignites greatness. The stars stretched endlessly before humanity's fleet. Each ship, from the massive flagship Intrepid to the smaller exploratory vessels, carried not just humans but dreams, hope, and the promise of a new future. The first colonies had survived the initial tests of space, harsh climates, limited resources, and unpredictable storms. But the real challenge was only beginning. Humanity now faced the task of turning scattered settlements into a connected, thriving dominion. Captain Elena Voss stood on the bridge of the Intrepid, studying the holographic map of unclaimed star systems. Each point of light represented a potential home for humanity, and each line traced the path of explorers who would soon test planets for habitability. Beside her, Chief Scientist Dr. Kamal Rao adjusted the readings of atmospheric scanners. Several systems nearby show promising planets, he said. If we establish colonies there, we could create a chain of support for new settlers. Resources, food, even communication networks? Elena nodded. Good. Let's make sure the first wave of settlers has everything they need to survive. Once they succeed, the others will follow. The first colony beyond Novaterra was a planet named Solara. Its surface shimmered with vast deserts and glowing crystal formations that refracted the light of its twin suns. The air was breathable, though thin, and the temperature swung dramatically between day and night. Human engineers designed modular habitats that could adjust to the harsh climate. Scientists experimented with energy-efficient farming methods, and miners learned to extract rare crystals for both technology and trade. Despite initial successes, Solara was not easy. Sandstorms could erase settlements in hours, and native wildlife, though not overtly hostile, proved persistent in testing human defenses. One night, a massive storm tore across the colony, threatening to collapse the main habitat dome. Elena and her team coordinated repairs under harsh winds, using drones and protective shields. Every human worked together, from children carrying supplies to scientists reinforcing energy grids. By dawn, the storm had passed, and Solara had survived. News of these successes spread quickly through the Dominion. Earth sent regular communications to the colonies, updating them with new technologies, advice, and encouragement. Humanity's progress was fast, fueled by determination and the willingness to take calculated risks. Other species in the galaxy began to watch with interest. Some admired humans' courage, while others whispered doubts. They are clever, an alien trader admitted, but reckless. One misstep could destroy them. Reckless, perhaps, but effective. Humanity's modular starships, designed to adapt for multiple purposes, allowed for unprecedented exploration. Ships could become laboratories, transporters, or even mobile defense units depending on the need. Colonies shared discoveries across the network, allowing innovations in one system to improve life in another. Engineers developed self-repairing machines, and medical teams created treatments for alien bacteria and viruses. Yet the Dominion faced more than natural challenges. Rogue factions, remnants of the Galactic Council's military, and space pirates threatened the fledgling colonies. One fleet of Council scouts attempted to intimidate a mining colony on the ice planet Glacium. Their ships, armed with advanced weaponry, demanded human surrender. Captain Elena's fleet intercepted them. In a daring maneuver, the humans used the environment to their advantage, hiding among Glacium's ice formations and using the planet's magnetic storms to disrupt enemy sensors. The Council ships, expecting predictable tactics, were caught off guard. Within hours, they retreated, leaving the humans victorious. This victory sent a strong message. Humanity was not just surviving, they were learning, adapting, and winning. Even the Council's agents began to reassess their opinions. They had assumed humans would be weak without their approval, but humans were proving otherwise. Back on Solara, the settlers continued building the Dominion's foundation. Schools were established in domes, teaching young humans both Earth history and new skills required for life on distant worlds. Engineers trained miners, and scientists taught farmers to grow crops adapted to alien soils. Community councils formed, giving every colonist a voice in decisions. This combination of discipline, education, and collaboration became the hallmark of humanity's approach. Trade routes began to emerge between colonies. Supply ships traveled from Novaterra to Solara to Glacium, carrying food, tools, and raw materials. Communication arrays allowed real-time conversations between distant settlements. Humans even began to experiment with diplomacy, reaching out to neighboring alien species to exchange knowledge and resources. Some species were wary, but a few saw the advantage of aligning with humanity. On the planet Orion, humans discovered a rich mineral vein beneath its golden plains. Mining operations began, but local creatures interfered, curious about these strange new visitors. Instead of fighting, human biologists studied the animals, learning their behaviors and even adapting their mining techniques to coexist. This blend of science, respect, and ingenuity became a defining trait of the Dominion. As the colonies multiplied, so did humanity's innovations. Engineers developed energy shields that could cover entire cities, and adaptive propulsion systems allowed ships to navigate dangerous asteroid fields with ease. Medical researchers discovered treatments for conditions caused by zero-gravity living and alien pathogens. Humans were not only surviving, they were advancing at a rate that surprised even their own leaders. However, the path was not without internal struggles. Some colonies argued over resource allocation, and debates about leadership arose. On Solara, a group of settlers wanted to focus on agriculture, while others prioritized mining and research. These conflicts threatened unity, but humans were skilled negotiators. Community meetings, voting systems, and councils ensured that every voice was heard. Compromise became a strength rather than a weakness. Meanwhile, the Galactic Council grew uneasy. Observing from a distance, they debated whether to intervene or let humanity continue. Some feared that human expansion could destabilize the galaxy, while others argued that humans' unpredictability made them impossible to control. For now, the Council watched silently, knowing that humanity was no longer the same species they had tried to ban. Amidst these challenges, human culture flourished. Art, music, and literature thrived even in the harshest colonies. Children drew pictures of alien landscapes, scientists wrote journals about discoveries, and engineers built intricate sculptures from metal and crystal. Even in the vastness of space, humans brought creativity and beauty, a reminder that their dominion was more than survival. It was life in full expression. One notable achievement was the creation of the Dominion Network. Using a combination of satellites, quantum communication relays, and AI-assisted management systems, humans connected every colony, ensuring fast exchange of information, resources, and knowledge. When a mining operation failed on Arian, help from Solara arrived within days. When a storm threatened Glacium, Novaterra's engineers provided remote support to stabilize habitats. Humanity had transformed isolation into cooperation, turning distance into a strength. Through all these efforts, humans maintained one guiding principle: every challenge was an opportunity. A deadly virus on Solara taught scientists to develop universal treatments for alien pathogens. A meteor shower on Glacium led engineers to design advanced shields that could protect entire cities. Even failures became lessons, making each colony stronger and more self-reliant. By the end of the decade, the Dominion was no longer just a collection of scattered settlements. It had a purpose, structure, and reputation. Humans had forged alliances with a few friendly alien species, developed technologies that rivaled Council fleets, and proven that determination, creativity, and unity could overcome any obstacle. Captain Elena Voss looked out at the Dominion from the bridge of the Intrepid, now orbiting a newly charted planet. "We've come far," she said to Dr. Rao, "but this is just the beginning. Every planet we settle, every system we explore, makes humanity stronger. The galaxy wanted to ban us. They wanted to control us. Instead, we're building something no one can ignore." Dr. Rao smiled. "And they will watch, whether they like it or not. They may have exiled us, but they cannot stop our ingenuity. Every colony, every new system, is proof that humans do not follow. They lead." Elena nodded, her gaze fixed on the stars. The dominion of humanity was taking shape, and with each passing day it became clear. Exile had not been a punishment. It had been the spark. In classrooms on Solara, young students learned about Earth's history and humanity's first steps into the stars. On Glacium, miners told stories of survival and clever engineering. Across the Dominion, the same message spread. Humans could endure, adapt, and triumph in ways no one had imagined. And as the Dominion expanded, a new legend began to form. A story of humanity not as victims of exile, but as pioneers, innovators, and conquerors of challenges. Every star system they touched carried a piece of human ingenuity, courage, and hope. A message to the galaxy that humanity, though banned, was unstoppable. The dominion of humanity had grown beyond anyone's expectations. Scattered colonies connected by a web of communication relays, starships exploring new systems, and settlements thriving on planets once thought uninhabitable. Yet with growth came new challenges. The galaxy was vast, unpredictable, and often dangerous. Humanity would soon learn that surviving in space was only part of the battle. They now had to prove they could thrive against those who wished to stop them. On the frontier planet of Orion, a mining colony faced an unexpected threat. A series of underground tremors shook the colony, collapsing tunnels and trapping workers. Elena Voss, now promoted to Admiral of the Frontier Fleet, received the emergency transmission aboard the Intrepid. "We need a solution fast," she said to her team. "People are trapped, and the colony's infrastructure is at risk. We cannot lose them." Dr. Kamal Rao analyzed the geological readings. The tremors are caused by pressure shifts deep within the planet. Standard drilling equipment won't work. We need something faster, something adaptive. Without hesitation, engineers modified existing mining drones, equipping them with reinforced claws and automated navigation to reach the trapped miners. Pilots coordinated supply drops, sending food, water, and medical kits through narrow openings. Within hours, humans had not only stabilized the situation but had rescued every trapped worker. This event, while dangerous, became a symbol of human ingenuity. Across the Dominion, settlers and explorers shared stories of quick thinking, teamwork, and courage under pressure. Every problem, no matter how severe, was treated as a puzzle waiting to be solved. But natural hazards were not the only threat. A fleet of rogue mercenaries, drawn by rumors of valuable minerals on human colonies, attacked the outer settlement of Solara. The colony's defensive systems were in place but untested against a real, coordinated assault. Admiral Voss made a bold decision. Instead of waiting for the enemy to strike, she took a small fleet and executed a flanking maneuver, using Solara's twin suns to hide their approach. When the mercenaries reached the colony, they found humans already in position, shields activated and energy weapons calibrated. Within hours, the invaders were forced to retreat. The people of Solara celebrated, but they also learned a valuable lesson. Preparation and creativity were just as important as courage. The Dominion's strength was not in numbers or firepower alone. It was in the minds and hearts of those who defended it. Meanwhile, colonies continued to expand. On Glacium, humans faced a blizzard that lasted for weeks, freezing equipment and threatening food supplies. The settlers used lessons learned from previous storms, constructing insulated habitats and developing underground farming systems. Engineers built heat generators powered by geothermal energy, while medics monitored settlers for frostbite and hypothermia. By the end of the storm, the colony had not only survived, but emerged more resilient. Alien species began to notice humanity's growing influence. Some approached with curiosity, seeking trade and knowledge. Others were wary, unsure of what the humans might do next. A delegation from the technologically advanced Xylar system arrived on Solara, offering access to rare minerals in exchange for human innovations in propulsion technology. Humanity's leaders welcomed the exchange, blending alien knowledge with human creativity to improve both Dominion and Xylar systems. However, not all encounters were peaceful. A council strike force, sent to intimidate human colonies, entered uncharted territory near the outer edges of the Dominion. They assumed humans would be easy to overpower. But human scouts, trained to observe and adapt, had already mapped the surrounding asteroid fields and hidden their fleet in strategic locations. When the council ships attacked, they were met with precision strikes, environmental traps, and unpredictable tactics. After several skirmishes, the council fleet withdrew, leaving humanity's outer colonies unscathed. This victory had far-reaching effects. Across the Dominion, morale soared. Humans were no longer merely surviving. They were actively defending their territories and expanding influence. Across the galaxy, whispers spread. Humans were clever, resourceful, and most importantly, unstoppable. Back on the inner planets, The Dominion focused on innovation. Scientists developed self-sustaining habitats capable of surviving extreme environments. Engineers created modular starships that could adapt to combat, exploration, or cargo transport with minimal modifications. Communication networks expanded, linking colonies across light years and enabling rapid coordination in times of crisis. Education and culture flourished alongside technology. Children on Solara learned mathematics and history, as well as skills in engineering, farming, and diplomacy. Artists painted alien landscapes, musicians created new compositions inspired by the hum of starships, and writers recorded human triumphs and chronicles that would one day become legends. On Nova Terra, the Council of Elders debated the next steps for the Dominion. "We have survived the first decade," one elder noted, "but survival is not enough. We must ensure that humanity thrives in the galaxy for centuries to come." Admiral Voss spoke from the Council platform. "Our strength lies in unity, creativity, and courage. We cannot simply defend, we must explore, innovate, and inspire. Every new colony, every new alliance strengthens the Dominion. We are not merely humans in space. We are the Dominion of humanity." The next challenge came from an unexpected quarter. A rogue AI, abandoned on a distant planet by a species long extinct, activated and began attacking incoming human ships. Its logic-driven mind saw humans as intruders to its domain. Initially, humans suffered losses as the AI's strategies adapted faster than standard tactics. But humans are unpredictable by nature. Scientists and strategists studied the AI, learning its patterns and weaknesses. Pilots executed maneuvers the AI could not anticipate. Engineers modified weapons to exploit flaws in its logic systems. Eventually, the AI was neutralized, and humans salvaged parts of its technology for their own use. This encounter reinforced an important truth. Intelligence and adaptability often outmatched brute strength. Humans learned to approach every problem not as a battle, but as a puzzle, an approach that became central to the Dominion's philosophy. As decades passed, the Dominion continued to expand. New planets were colonized, resource networks established, and trade routes secured. The Dominion network linked every settlement, allowing knowledge, resources, and support to flow seamlessly. Young explorers trained aboard starships, learning the lessons of previous generations and preparing to push further into the galaxy. Despite the constant challenges, humanity's culture remained vibrant. Schools taught problem-solving and cooperation alongside science and history. Festivals celebrated discoveries, victories, and resilience. Across the Dominion, humans shared stories of triumph over adversity, inspiring one another and cementing a shared identity. The Galactic Council, observing from afar, could no longer dismiss humanity. Each victory, each innovation, and each new colony proved that the banishment had only strengthened human resolve. Some council members argued for intervention, but others hesitated, wary of provoking a species that had already defied expectations. In the midst of expansion, a new generation of human leaders arose. Young engineers, diplomats, and pilots took responsibility for colonies and fleets. They brought fresh ideas, innovative solutions, and a willingness to take calculated risks. Under their guidance, the Dominion became more efficient, more connected, and more formidable. Admiral Voss, now a legendary figure across human space, reflected on the journey from exile to dominance. Humanity had faced storms, rogue fleets, AI threats, and internal challenges. And yet, they had thrived. Every setback had been a lesson, every victory a testament to ingenuity, courage, and collaboration. She stood on the bridge of the Intrepid, looking at a map filled with human colonies, trade routes, and fleets. "The Dominion is more than planets and ships," she said to Dr. Rao. "It is every person who dared to dream, every engineer who solved the impossible, and every pilot who risked everything to protect our people. This is humanity's true strength." Dr. Rao nodded. "And it will only grow. Exile forced us to adapt, to think differently, to work together. The galaxy may have tried to hold us back, but it only made us stronger." In classrooms, workshops, and fields across the Dominion, humans continued to learn, create, and explore. Each colony, from the icy plains of Glacium to the deserts of Solara, became a hub of innovation and resilience. Stories of courage spread, inspiring the next generation to dream bigger, reach further, and achieve the impossible. By the end of Part 3, the Dominion was no longer just a fledgling experiment. It was a recognized force in the galaxy. Humans had survived trials that would have defeated lesser species. They had turned every challenge into an opportunity. And as they looked to the stars, one thing was certain. Humanity's journey was far from over. The galaxy would remember the humans not for their banishment, but for their triumphs. And every challenge they faced, every threat they overcame, added to the legend of a species that refused to be denied. Decades had passed since humanity first stepped beyond Earth. What began as exile had become opportunity, and opportunity had become empire. Not in the sense of conquest, but in achievement, influence, and inspiration. The dominion of humanity stretched across multiple star systems, a web of thriving colonies, research stations, and trade networks. Captain Elena Voss, now an elder stateswoman in the Dominion, gazed out at the stars from the Bridge of the Eternal, humanity's largest interstellar command ship. The vessel orbited Lumina Prime, the newest colony in a distant system. Below her, the planet's cities sparkled like scattered gemstones, powered by clean energy grids and connected by high-speed transit networks. Colonists moved with purpose, creating, learning, and building the future. "This is what we dreamed of," Elena said to Dr. Kamal Rao, who now served as chief scientist of the Dominion. "Not just survival, but flourishing. Not just colonies, but civilizations." Rao nodded. "The galaxy watches us now. They see humans not as troublemakers or exiles, but as pioneers. What we've built is remarkable, self-sustaining, adaptive, and constantly growing. We are proof that ingenuity and determination can shape the universe." Across the Dominion, humans had perfected their systems. Education thrived, teaching every generation not just science, technology, and history, but also the principles of creativity, collaboration, and problem-solving. Children learned to pilot starships in simulations, to manage resources for entire colonies, and to communicate with alien species. They were growing up knowing that their actions could change the course of worlds. Trade networks connected the colonies, allowing resources to flow seamlessly. Minerals mined from Glacium were shipped to Solara, where they were processed into materials for starships. Food grown on Nova Terra was transported to Lumina Prime, sustaining new settlements. Knowledge moved faster than light, shared through quantum communication relays and advanced AI-assisted systems. But humanity's influence went beyond its own people. Alien species, once wary or indifferent, now sought collaboration. Diplomats from the Xylar system visited to learn about human governance and trade systems. Scientists from distant worlds came to study human technologies, especially modular starships and adaptive habitats. Humans traded knowledge, resources, and culture freely, building alliances based on respect rather than fear. Yet, humanity never forgot its beginnings. The memory of the Galactic Council's banishment remained a story told in classrooms, inspiring future generations. "We were told we could not belong," one teacher explained to a group of children on Solara. "But we created our own place. We learned that boundaries are only limits if you let them be. Humans do not wait for permission. We lead, we explore, and we build." Challenges continued, of course. A rogue asteroid field threatened the trade route between Glacium and Nova Terra, and a mysterious cosmic storm disrupted communications across several colonies. But humanity's approach was consistent: observe, adapt, and overcome. Pilots navigated dangerous corridors with precision, engineers reinforced communication arrays, and scientists studied the storm's behavior, learning how to predict and survive future cosmic events. Humanity's adaptability became a hallmark of the Dominion. Colonies learned to integrate local resources creatively, turning harsh deserts into fertile plains, frozen landscapes into productive habitats, and barren rocks into thriving cities. Humans respected alien ecosystems, finding ways to coexist with local species rather than dominate them. This approach earned them admiration from some of the galaxy's oldest civilizations. The Dominion's military, while defensive in nature, had become legendary. It was not sheer power that made humans formidable, but unpredictability, intelligence, and ingenuity. Fleets could reconfigure in seconds, planets were defended with adaptive shields, and every officer was trained to think creatively. When a group of space pirates attempted to raid Solara's trade hub, they were met not with brute force but with a carefully coordinated strategy that used environmental hazards, diversionary tactics, and rapid response teams. The pirates were forced to retreat, leaving the humans unscathed. Science and exploration continued to push boundaries. Humans discovered planets rich in new elements, explored nebulae with unusual energy fields, and encountered intelligent alien life forms that challenged their understanding of biology and culture. Rather than conquer, humans learned and shared. They studied the beings' language, technology, and culture, incorporating insights to improve Dominion life and strengthen alliances. Art and culture flourished alongside technology. Cities were filled with music, holographic art, and performances inspired by the cosmos itself. Literature celebrated humanity's journey, recording the struggles, triumphs, and lessons of each generation. On Lumina Prime, a new cultural center displayed artifacts from Earth, Nova Terra, and every colony, telling the story of humanity's rise from exile to influence. Despite their success, humans remained humble. Leaders emphasized that their power was not a tool for domination but for opportunity, innovation, and collaboration. Our legacy, Elena Voss told the Dominion Council, is not measured in the number of planets we control, but in the lives we improve, the knowledge we share, and the courage we inspire. We are remembered not for war, but for what we dared to do when told we could not succeed. A significant achievement was the creation of the Galactic Council Dialogue Initiative, a program designed to encourage cooperation between humans and other civilizations. Though the Council had once banned humanity, they could not ignore their influence. Some Council members, curious and cautious, began attending these dialogues. Humans demonstrated diplomacy, fairness, and innovation, earning the respect of even their former skeptics. The Dominion's exploration fleet, now vast and diverse, ventured farther into uncharted space than any other species. Pilots discovered planets capable of supporting human life, regions rich in new elements, and phenomena that challenged current scientific knowledge. Each discovery strengthened humanity's position in the galaxy and inspired future generations to push even farther. On Solara, children listened to stories of the first settlers, of Captain Voss's daring maneuvers, and of engineers who turned disasters into triumphs. Teachers emphasized that innovation, courage, and cooperation were not just survival tools, they were what made humans extraordinary. Young minds dreamed of new worlds, imagining cities in clouds, underwater habitats, and even starships that could explore other galaxies. The Dominion's unity was reinforced through governance. Each colony had a voice in decision-making, from local councils to the Dominion Council on Nova Terra. Resources were allocated not by power, but by need and contribution. This approach ensured fairness and encouraged creativity, as every individual could influence the direction of their community. As the decades continued, humanity's influence spread beyond the Dominion. Alien species who had once been skeptical began adopting human technologies, educational models, and problem-solving methods. Trade networks flourished, scientific collaboration increased, and cultural exchange deepened. Humanity's approach, adaptive, creative, and cooperative, set an example that even ancient civilizations could not ignore. In the command room of the Eternal, Admiral Voss reflected on the journey. "We were exiled, banned, underestimated," she said. "Yet today, we are not just survivors. We are leaders, teachers, innovators, and explorers. We have built something extraordinary, a legacy that will endure for generations." Dr. Rao smiled, pointing to the holographic map of human colonies and trade routes. "And it will only continue to grow. Humanity is proof that determination, ingenuity, and unity can overcome any obstacle. We were told no. We said yes, and we built a dominion that will inspire the galaxy for centuries. The children of the Dominion, growing up in safe and thriving colonies, would inherit this legacy. They would explore new stars, solve problems no one else could, and inspire both humans and aliens alike. They would continue to prove that even a species once banned could rise to greatness, not through force, but through courage, creativity, and unbreakable spirit. And so, humanity's story, once one of exile and rejection, had become a legend. Across the galaxy, other species spoke of humans with respect, curiosity, and sometimes awe. The Dominion was not built on fear or domination, but on the principles that had guided humans from their first steps on Earth: ingenuity, resilience, and a refusal to accept limits. From Earth to the farthest colonies, humanity had carved its place in the stars. They were explorers, scientists, diplomats, artists, and defenders. Their dominion was a symbol, not of power, but of what could be achieved when a species refused to be constrained by doubt or banishment. And in the quiet moments, as humans gazed at the stars, they understood the truth. Being underestimated had been a gift. Being banned had been a spark. Every challenge, every trial, and every victory had prepared them for this moment. Humanity was no longer an exiled species. They were a beacon of possibility, a living proof that determination and creativity could change the galaxy itself. The Dominion of humanity stood tall, not as a conqueror, but as a shining example of what one species could achieve when it refused to yield, refused to compromise, and refused to be ignored. The galaxy had tried to ban them, but humans had built a legacy that no force could erase, a legacy that would endure for generations, inspiring all who gazed up at the stars.